You ever feel like the people you love most are the ones who hurt you deepest? At Thanksgiving, my family stood up, clapped, and told me I was no longer one of them. But what they didn't know, I had a folder in my bag that would turn their world upside down. If you've ever been betrayed by the people you do anything for, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. This one's for you. Let's dive in. I used to think family was everything. Growing up, that's what I was taught. Blood is thicker than water, right? Stick together no matter what. That's what my mom would say, her voice soft but firm, as she stirred a pot of her famous chicken noodle soup in our cramped kitchen in suburban Ohio. The smell of it would fill the house, wrapping us in this cozy illusion that we were unbreakable. Me, my older brother Jake, mom, dad, and later Jake's wife Ashley. We were the Millers, a family, flawed but fierce. I was the youngest, the oops baby born 6 years after Jake. By the time I was old enough to notice, Jake was already the golden child. He was charming, athletic, the kind of guy who could walk into a room and make everyone laugh. Teachers loved him, coaches worshiped him, and mom and dad, they looked at him like he hung the moon. Me, I was the quiet one, the bookworm, the girl who'd rather stay home with a novel than cheer at Jake's football games. I didn't mind, though. I loved my family. I'd have done anything for them. And I did. By the time I was in my early 20s, I'd become the family's silent support system. It started small. Dad's car broke down, and he needed 500 for repairs. Just until payday, he'd said, his eyes avoiding mine. I wrote the check. Then mom's medical bills piled up after her knee surgery. 3,000, no insurance. I covered it. Jake, freshly married to Ashley, needed a down payment for their first house. "We'll pay you back," he promised, flashing that $1 million smile. I handed over $10,000 from my savings. I wasn't rich, far from it. I worked as an accountant at a small firm, crunching numbers for 8 hours a day in a beige cubicle. My apartment was a one-bedroom with peeling paint and a leaky faucet I never got around to fixing. But I was good with money. I saved, I budgeted, and when my family needed me, I was there, always. Over the years, the requests kept coming. Jake's car loan, mom's credit card debt, Ashley's emergency vet bills for their dome, a new roof for my parents' house. By the time I was 32, I'd given them over $50,000. Not a single cent had been paid back. But I didn't complain. They were family. And family helps family, right? Let me take you back to a moment that should have been a red flag. It was Christmas, maybe 7 years ago. I was 25, sitting at mom and dad's dining room table, the one with the wobbly leg we all pretended not to notice. Jake was holding court, telling some story about his new job as a car salesman. He was good at it, too good. He could sell ice to a penguin, and everyone ate it up. Ashley was laughing, her blonde hair bouncing as she leaned into him. Mom was beaming, passing around her homemade pecan pie. Dad was nodding along, sipping his coffee. I was there too, but it's like I was invisible. I'd just gotten a promotion at work, but when I tried to mention it, Jake cut me off with a joke. "Oh, Sarah's still crunching numbers in her little cubicle? Bet you're married to your spreadsheets by now." Everyone laughed, even mom. I forced a smile, but it stung. I wasn't flashy like Jake. I didn't have his charisma or his knack for making people feel like they were the center of the universe. I was just Sarah, single, child-free, and apparently a punchline. That night, as I helped mom clean up in the kitchen, she patted my arm and said, "Don't mind Jake. He's just teasing. You know he loves you." I nodded, but deep down I knew it wasn't just teasing. There was a hierarchy in our family, and I was at the bottom. Jake was the star. I was the one who paid for the stage he stood on. Fast forward to my early 30s. I was still the family's go-to ATM, but something had shifted. Jake and Ashley had a daughter, Lily, who was 3 years old and the light of my life. I'd babysit her when they needed a date night, which was code for Jake blowing money at some fancy restaurant while Ashley posted selfies on Instagram. I didn't mind. Lily's giggles were worth it. But I started noticing things. Jake's texts were shorter, colder. Ashley stopped inviting me over for coffee. Mom and Dad's calls dwindled to once a month, usually when they needed something. Then came the loan that changed everything. Jake called me one evening, his voice all charm and urgency. Sarah, I need you to co-sign a loan for me. It's for the dealership, big opportunity to expand. I just need your name on the dotted line. I hesitated. Co-signing was different from handing over cash. If Jake defaulted, I'd be on the hook. I'd seen his spending habits, new cars, vacations, a boat he had to have. I wasn't sure he could handle it. Jake, I don't know, I said, my voice quiet. That's a big commitment. He laughed, but it wasn't his usual warm laugh. It was sharp, like a blade. Come on, Sarah. You've got no kids, no husband. What else are you doing with your money? Don't you trust me? That hurt. I'd given him so much already, money, time, trust, but I held firm. I'm sorry, Jake, I can't. The line went silent. Then he said, wow, I didn't think you'd be so selfish. He hung up. After that, everything changed. The family group chat went quiet. My invites to Sunday dinners stopped. When I called Mom, she'd say, oh, we're just busy, honey. Ashley unfollowed me on social media. Even Lily's daycare stopped calling me for pickups. I was being iced out, and I didn't know why. One night, I was scrolling through my phone, trying to figure out what I'd done wrong. That's when I saw it, a group chat I wasn't supposed to be in. A friend of Ashley's had accidentally added me to a thread before removing me, but not before I saw the messages. Jake's words were like a punch to the gut. Sarah's such a spinster. No wonder she's alone. All she does is work and hoard her money like some miser. Yeah, she's got nothing going for her, no kids, no life. Pathetic. Ashley chimed in. I don't know why she's so stingy. It's not like she needs the money. There were others too. Jokes about my sad little apartment. Laughs about how I'd die alone with my cats. I don't even have cats. And then the kicker. A screenshot Jake had sent to his buddies, mocking me for saying no to the loan. Guess Sarah thinks she's too good for us now. I sat there staring at my phone, tears burning my eyes. These weren't strangers. This was my family, the people I'd sacrificed for, the people I'd loved, and they were laughing at me behind my back, tearing me apart like I was nothing. That's when I started keeping records. Every loan I'd given them, every bill I'd paid, every receipt, every bank statement, every thank you text that was really just a prelude to another ask. I printed them out, organized them in a folder, and tucked it away. I didn't know why I was doing it at the time. It just felt necessary. Thanksgiving 2024 was supposed to be a fresh start. I'd spent months trying to mend things with my family. I called Mom, sent Lily a birthday gift, even texted Jake a hope you're doing okay message. No one responded, but I kept trying. When Mom invited me to Thanksgiving, I thought maybe, just maybe, they were ready to let me back in. I showed up at their house with a homemade apple pie, my heart pounding with hope. The table was set, the turkey was golden, and the room smelled like sage and nostalgia. Jake was there with Ashley and Lily. Mom and Dad were bustling around, smiling like nothing had changed. For a moment, I let myself believe we were okay. Then dinner started. Jake stood up, clinking his glass with a spoon. Everyone went quiet. He cleared his throat, his eyes glinting with something I couldn't place. We've got an announcement, he said, his voice loud and confident. As a family, we've talked, and we've decided, Sarah, you're no longer part of this family. The room spun. I blinked, waiting for the punchline, but it didn't come. Instead, they clapped. Mom, Dad, Ashley, even little Lily, who didn't know any better, joined in. My heart cracked open, but I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, my hands trembling in my lap. Why? I managed to ask, my voice barely above a whisper. Jake smirked. You know why, You've been selfish, distant. You don't care about us anymore. Selfish? Distant? After everything I'd done? I looked around the table, searching for one pair of eyes that might show remorse. But Mom wouldn't meet my gaze. Dad stared at his plate. Ashley's lips were pressed into a thin line, like she was trying not to laugh. That's when I reached into my bag. I pulled out the folder, black, nondescript, heavy with 5 years of truth. I set it on the table with a soft thud. The clapping stopped. The room went still. Jake, I said, my voice steady despite the storm in my chest. Open it. He hesitated, his smirk faltering. What's this? Open it, I repeated. He flipped it open and his face changed. Page after page of documents, bank statements, loan agreements, receipts for every cent I'd given them, 50,000 or worth of proof that I'd been their lifeline. Mom's medical bills, Dad's car repairs, Jake and Ashley's house, the boat, the vet bills, all of it laid bare. But that wasn't all. Tucked in the back were the screenshots. Jake's text calling me a spinster, a loner, pathetic. Ashley's messages laughing at my sad little life. And then the hotel receipts. One in particular stood out. A weekend getaway Jake had taken to a fancy resort in Miami with someone named Eli. Ashley's fork clattered to her plate. Her face went white. Jake, she said, her voice shaking. Who's Eli? Jake's mouth opened, but no words came out. His face turned beet red, his hands fumbling with the papers. This isn't what it looks like, he stammered. Really? I said, my voice calm but sharp. Because it looks like you've been lying to everyone, mocking me while I paid your bills, cheating on your wife while it babysat your daughter. The room was so quiet you could hear the clock ticking in the living room. Mom's hands were shaking. Dad looked like he wanted to sink into the floor. Ashley was staring at Jake, tears welling in her eyes. I stood up. For years, I was your doormat. I gave you everything, my money, my time, my heart. And you threw it back in my face. You laughed at me. You used me. And when I finally said no, you voted me out. I laughed, a bitter sound that surprised even me. Well, guess what? I'm done. I turned to Mom and Dad. I've revoked power of attorney. I'm no longer responsible for your finances. You're on your own. Then I looked at Jake. And you? Good luck explaining Eli to your wife. I grabbed my coat, my pie still untouched on the table, and walked out. The last thing I heard was Ashley's voice, low and furious, saying, Jake, what the hell is going on? The next day, my phone blew up. Text from Mom, we're going through a lot right now. From Ashley, Jake and I are separating. From Dad, the mortgage is behind. And then the kicker, you're still family, Sarah. I didn't respond, not to a single one. Instead, I packed my bags and moved. New city, new job, new life. I started therapy, something I'd put off for years because I was too busy fixing everyone else's problems. My therapist helped me see what I'd been blind to. I'd spent my life trying to earn love that was never mine to begin with. I wasn't their sister, their daughter, their safety net. I was their ape, their punching bag, their scapegoat. Months later, a letter arrived from Mom. Her handwriting was shaky, the words simple. No matter what happened, you'll always be family. I read it, my heart twisting for a moment, then I tossed it in the trash. Not out of anger, not out of bitterness, but because I finally understood, family isn't about blood, it's about respect, and they'd lost mine a long time ago. Now I sleep better, I smile more, I breathe deeper. I've got a little apartment with a balcony where I drink coffee in the mornings, watching the sunrise. I've got friends who don't ask me for money, a job that challenges me, a life that's mine. I'm not the spinster they laughed at. I'm not the loner they pitied. I'm Sarah Miller, and for the first time in my life, I'm free. If you've ever felt like you've given everything to people who didn't deserve it, let me tell you something. You are enough. You don't need to buy love. You don't need to beg for respect. The moment you walk away from the people who hurt you, you're not losing family. You're finding yourself. Hit that like button if this story hit home, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.